It's a pleasure to welcome onto this video from Las Vegas, Tony Cordasco from the Locked On Golden Knights podcast, an ice hockey fan for the Vegas Golden Knights. How you doing, Tony? Welcome.
It's great to be with you, Kirk. Thanks for having me.
And of course, we're going to want your knowledge behind our incoming new owner, Bill Foley. But first, tell us about Locked On Golden Knights podcast and the ice hockey team, Vegas Golden Knights, that Bill Foley owns.
Yeah, for sure. So Locked On Golden Knights is a daily podcast, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We both live here in the Las Vegas market, myself and the co-host, Chris Golick. Chris is more of the hockey fan, and so he referees hockey and beer league games that they play, those casual games that people might have a couple of beers before they get on the ice. So he does referee those. He's a season ticket holder for both the Golden Knights and the minor league team that we have here in Las Vegas, the Henderson Silver Knights, season ticket holder, and now credentialed to cover the Vegas Golden Knights. And myself, I'm a longtime Las Vegas. I'm a media member, and I've been on the air. I do a weekly radio show here in Las Vegas and cover a lot of sporting events, the major sporting events, in our city. I also do play-by-play for football, not the football that you guys are talking about today, but like the NFL. We've got the Raiders here, and college football, and then basketball, and everything else in between. And we've got Formula One coming here, and a lot of other major events here in our city. But yeah, the Vegas Golden Knights. I am more on Locked On Golden Knights. I am more of the guy that just kind of is objective, because everyone that's a fan of the Golden Knights, I mean, they are truly fans now. Some of them believe nothing is going wrong when currently, this team is mired as of our press time in a little bit of a slump. And people are like, no, they're still good. They're still in first place. But we could see, things starting to destruct. But I'm the more objective of the two, and we've got some good polarization going between us, as the host. The Vegas Golden Knights, Bill Foley, my goodness, from day one, they were a success, and they are a huge success. And even like when this team starts to lose games, the fans now they're so spoiled. They're spoiled. I think the team is spoiled. They don't have to buy a drink around the city. Any of the players on the Golden Knights, they are celebrities, across our town. And from day one, they made it to the Stanley Cup final. That is the championship final. They lost to Washington at that time, and they've been back in the playoffs repeatedly every year, except for last year, which was year 5 of this franchise. And last year, after that, there were wholesale changes. Bill Foley fired the coach, Pete DeBoer. He brought in a new head coach in Bruce Cassidy, who was very successful with the Boston Bruins. And now they made some changes and trades and a bunch of other things. And now they're back on a path where they want to win the Stanley Cup. And Bill Foley's goal to win that treasure trophy was from year 1 to win this by year 6. So this is year 6. And one of those major changes, Kirk, during the offseason was that Bill Foley decided that he would take a more active role in this franchise. And so he is now more involved in all of the day-to-day decisions that might have been covered by the team's president and the team's general manager. And now he has a more active role in what is going on. And so he's definitely someone who's not afraid to make changes. And, they've talked about it before when a free agent is on the market, like a player like Jack Eichel, who's one of the top 10 players, I think, in the National Hockey League. When he was available, they went after him. Alex Pietrangelo, one of the top 10 defensemen in the National Hockey League, they went after him, and they're not afraid to spend money. But one of the issues that they do have is that they're always exceeding the salary cap. Yeah, there's a cap for each team at over $82 million. And at the start of the season, the Vegas Golden Knights, or VGK as we like to refer to them here locally, they had $17 to spend against the entire cap. And so they're constantly exceeding it. They play a lot of tricks with putting players on injured reserve and long-term injured reserve on those lists where they could maybe bring in other players. And yeah, it's just been funny and crazy, and it's a lot of excitement, but there's always drama with this team. Each and every day we find something new in the area of drama with this team, where we never are at a loss on Lockdown Golden Knights for content. We never are at a loss for content. Every day there's something new happening with this team, and it's just it's incredible, because we see a lot of our other colleagues that do podcasts, and to do a 5-day a week podcast, you have to find a lot of content. And our colleagues are like, how do you guys have all this content? And it's never ending, because there's always drama, something behind the scene. Things look to be going smooth, and then whoop, off the rails. So yeah, that's a brief history of what we're all about, and the Vegas Golden Knights here in Las Vegas.
That was an absolute fantastic intro, and already I'm interested to know more, and I want to dive into it more, Tony. So, talk to me about Bill Foley. He is in the process of becoming AFC Bournemouth's owner. Now, before we talk about him as a businessman, and I know you've just touched on him, but Bill Foley, the person, what are we getting as Bournemouth fans?
You're going to get a guy that has this appetite to win like nobody else, like nobody's business. He really does want to win. He went back to he attended West Point, where the Army, Academy is located. He's an Army graduate, and that's where the nickname of the team, quite frankly, comes from, because they were the Knights at Army, and that's the academy, and the school. And then he brought the Knights to Las Vegas, and his team, of course, is the Vegas Golden Knights. He also has the American Hockey League team, which is the Henderson. They're in Henderson, which is a suburb. It's in the burbs. The Henderson Silver Knights. And so I'm just afraid for you fans over there that he changes the name to the Cherry Knights or something like that. I don't know, but he might have to. He might be
He
fiddling
might have
around
a
with the
battle on
name
his hands.
of your team. He'll have a battle, right? He shouldn't change anything there except for the new stadium and all that. But yeah, I mean, here's a guy, self-made, was in the title insurance business and homes, and became a billionaire. His company was struggling at the time. Um, they were acquired by a bigger company. He just kind of grew with that. Now, Bill Foley, again, the self-made billionaire with the B, he has his own wine company, where he's got vineyards in Northern California where they bottle his wines, and he's big into that. Again, he has a number of assets now in the sports world. So, in addition to those two, the two hockey teams, he now has, which is it's a G League basketball league, and he wants to maybe perhaps in the future dabble with the NBA should they get here to Las Vegas. And we know it's going to happen. We just don't know when. But he also has a G League team, is like a minor league basketball league that prepares players for the National Basketball Association. And then, of course, his interest in soccer, which is pretty fascinating. And when you go back and you look at Bill Foley, I think his interest was back in 2019, pre-pandemic, where he made it known that he wants to be an owner of a major league soccer team here, an MLS team in Las Vegas. And so that's where I think a lot of his interest began. Although that happened, there was a lot of talks about bringing an MLS team to Las Vegas, and then it simmered due to the pandemic. And now, everyone was pretty much surprised when he went to England and became a part and an owner of Bournemouth. To me, I thought that was really surprising. And I do have some reasons that we could get into later on about why I feel he did purchase that team, Premier League team in England.
We definitely will, Tony. So you've spoken a bit about the person and the drive, the self-made billionaire, not just millionaire. Bill Foley, the businessman, then he sounds a little bit ruthless to me. He sounds like he wants to succeed, and he's not going to hang around for it, if I'm right in saying. But coming to Bournemouth, and you spoke about them overspending on the ice hockey side of finances. And I know from a football point of view in this country and across the European game, there's what's called the FFP, which you have to meet financial guidelines, otherwise you're penalised. Bournemouth have actually been in that penalisation before, and we've had to pay something like £10 million because we went over it. Do you fear then that potentially Bill Foley would struggle to stay within those FFP rules because he'll be too ambitious to want to drive Bournemouth on very quickly?
I think he'll definitely teeter on that line of, you know, breaking breaking that top line, because he just has this appetite to win, and I think that's the biggest thing that's going for him, and it's almost at all costs. And when the Vegas Golden Knights begin to struggle, if there's even an inkling that they are going to struggle, then Foley will come in and they'll figure a way to spend more money and go out and get those players that they feel can fill a need with this franchise. So yes, I mean, they'll be right there at that top measure, at that top mark. You can rest assured.
Talking about the infrastructure of AFC Bournemouth, and you touched on it early doors in this video, we have a training ground that we're looking to build. So from the Premier League point of view, we are a category status 3, I think, and it might be the other way around. I'm trying to think now. But by improving the training facilities, it means we can improve our category status. It means that we can hold on to better youth talent, and we can actually encourage better youth players to come to AFC Bournemouth. Now, we tried to develop a training ground that got stopped because of the pandemic, but the word of mouth going around from what Bill Foley's having discussions about is that training ground's going to get done in 18 months. We're going to get that done because it does help the club. And then also it's the stadium, Tony. Now we have the smallest stadium in the Premier League, only 11,000 seat stadium. And also we are hearing that Bill Foley's going to be very keen to do something with this stadium. Now, whether he can increase the current stadium, there's a massive question mark because of the houses around it, or whether he builds a brand new one. That will be delicate with Bournemouth fans, though, Tony, because there's a lot of love and a lot of history with the current stadium. So, how does Bill Foley play this, knowing him as you do for the Vegas Golden Knights?
Yeah, if he says he's building a new training facility, that will be built, and it'll be built rather quickly. They'll expedite it at all costs because that's what he does. They came up with literally when they built the arena that holds about 6,000 fans here in Las Vegas, in Henderson for the Silver Knights. That went up in, I think, a couple of years. I mean, it was done very fast and expeditiously. Yes, and then expansion, and I didn't know that about all the homes around there. Expansion of the stadium. I feel that he'll put the resources towards it to make that a bigger stadium because he doesn't want to be the category 3, he wants to be at the top, and I think that that's what he'll do is he'll try to grow it from there. Of major concern for me to be very expensive. And here in Las Vegas, for the Golden Knights, it's a premium price and it's sold out every night. And they have season ticket holders. And the average seat, I get it, the seats are starting at about now $150 to $200 per ticket. And I saw at Bournemouth,
Wow.
you can take it your family, right? You can take your
Mm,
family, and it's very affordable. So that to me
mm.
would be one of the concerns. And then concession prices, even at the minor league level in Henderson, they've gone through the roof. Like he's starting to charge a lot more money, and the fans aren't really pleased about that. Ticket prices, just keep going up and up and up. There with Bournemouth, how would they react? That's what I wanted to ask you, Kirk. If those ticket prices do start to skyrocket.
So in the Premier League, you can't charge more than £30 for an away fan. So that's already fixed by the league itself. For home games, so for season tickets, we haven't had a
That's good.
rise in season ticket prices for 7 years. They've been frozen for 7 years, and we're about mid-range, I think, for season ticket prices. We're about £550 for an adult, UK money. The highest, I think, in the league is Arsenal, which are about 1,000, if not a little bit more. And that's for the whole season. And then on average for a concession ticket for an adult is about £35, roughly, there or thereabout. That's interesting for me that you're talking about that, because one thing that Bournemouth has done with the current ownership is freeze those prices and not really increase them. The big frustration that fans have had is that since we've gone into the Premier League, the best league in the world, top league in the country, is that the stadium capacity has held us back from getting more fans through the door. And that's definitely a keen interest of Bournemouth fans trying to get more fans in. Speaking about the stadium as well, Tony, we actually don't own it. We only own one stand, which is behind the goal, the south stand. And apart from that, it's owned by a company called Structure Dean. So that would be a bit of an issue for Bill Foley. He'd have to work out how he gets full ownership of that stadium, or potentially builds a brand new one. And that's definitely going to be something he's going to have to work out. If I come back to you then regarding the fans, how does he connect to fans? Because if he comes into Bournemouth and then tries to recuperate some money because he's outlaying money to do a training facility and potentially other things, is he going to worry about what the fans think, bearing in mind he's a new ownership to the UK, or is he still going to go ahead and do exactly what he wants to do?
Great question. And just knowing, the history, the track record of Bill Foley currently, I'd have to say he's going to do what he wants to do. He really believes that if you have that right product that you're putting, on the pitch or on the ice, or on the basketball court, or what have you. He has an arena football league team too. And if you do all those things, um, then he feels that they're going to pay the premium price. And the NHL tickets for the Vegas Golden Knights, I believe, are the most expensive in the league right now, and they're the most, highly in demand each and every night. It's entertainment, and that's one of the aspects that he brought here. There's a pregame show with lights and theatrics and digital images on the ice, and uh, like it's a show, and it's a spectacle, every night. And I think he'll try to recreate that with the soccer team. And if you're telling me what you're telling me is true about it's owned by another owner, he'll just simply build a new stadium. I really do believe he'll build a new stadium there. Then I don't think he's going to mess around, because he's just very quick to the point, and he has the money, right, to pay for everything.
Hmm.
So I think he'll do it, even if it rubs the fans a little bit, not right, if you will. I think he'll still wind up doing what he feels he needs to do to be successful there.
I think it will split the fan base, but ultimately, if we can get 20,000 people to attend Bournemouth games, I think it might just win in time. But there is a lot of history at the current stadium, Dean Court. Um, he sounds like he's quite a visual guy. He sounds like he's quite a visual owner. You said that he's getting more involved in the day-to-day running. Our current owner, we haven't seen a lot of. We've seen him on some special nights when we've got promoted to the Premier League. But apart from that, he sat very, very deep in the background. It sounds like Bill Foley's going to be completely the opposite. Is that right?
Yes and no. I mean, you see him from time to time at the Golden Knights games. He's there at every game, just about. But he's up in the owner's box, and you could just see him. Doesn't really mingle a ton with the fans. And I don't know, again, with that distance and everything going on here, how much you will actually see him, to be quite
Mm.
honest with you there, Bournemouth games there in the future. I don't know. I was just kind of surprised when I saw those photos of him and on social media, with a youngster and taking some photos with fans. I have not seen that here. Haven't seen that here at all.
We are very unique. You'll find out that, and he'll find out, and he would have found out when he came down to watch Bournemouth versus Leicester when he flew in, that you're straight on top of the fans. The stadium's very tight knit. The football's played right in front of the fans, and that's a unique side of it. Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to hear you, Tony, speaking about Bill Foley, and it sounds like he's not going to waste any time, and he's going to do what he can to look take Bournemouth to maybe a new level. We are, as I said, one of the smallest clubs. We are the smallest club probably in the Premier League, but we've always had dreams to be respected more. Would you say that that's going to be Bill Foley's ambition to get respect for AFC Bournemouth and himself, and that he'll be taken seriously, and also that Bournemouth can be taken seriously? And I suppose that can only really happen, if we have a stadium that sticks with the badge.
You haven't asked me yet, Kirk, about the why of it, and why Bill Foley suddenly wants to buy this Premier League soccer team. So I think we've got a little battle going on, if you will, between a couple of billionaires, and they both are pretty stubborn guys. And so I know that the price was right for Bill Foley, somewhere U.S. between 120 and 180 million. I think were the estimates that I saw. When he purchased the team, and so the reason why I think he is there and why he purchased a team in Bournemouth is because he's going at it with another billionaire here in the U.S. So the interest in the MLS team came from Bill Foley in 2019. And these guys have so much money, and they're always used to getting their way. And so here in Las Vegas, we have, they're building currently a new soccer stadium that would hold 32,000 fans. And that's how we're going to lure an MLS team. And I think it's going to come down to us or San Diego on who is the next team that is proved to be in the MLS. Las Vegas has a very good chance because it's a growth city in the world of sports, and it's a place, an image, market where a lot of these teams and leagues need to be. And so right now, I think what we have is a little bit of a match between Bill Foley and a gentleman by the name of Wes Edens. Wes Edens owns the Milwaukee Bucks here in the U.S., and he also owns part owner of Aston Villa over there. And
Mm-hmm.
so and Foley and his rival now, Wes Edens, they both want this MLS team here in Las Vegas. And so the one thing that was separating those two parties was the fact that Wes Edens has that interest in Aston Villa. And so Foley's like, okay, so they gave him the advantage. He owns an NBA team, National Basketball Association team here in the U.S. He owns, he's got diversified sports interest. The one thing that Foley was missing from his portfolio was a soccer team. And so every time they were in meetings, discussions with the Major League Soccer group, it came up, well, you know what? Edens has the advantage because number one, he's the primary owner and builder of this new stadium here with 32,000 seats as part of a big sports complex that will include a train station so fans could come in from Southern California. Basketball arena. And so now we have an interesting dynamic between these two gentlemen in that we don't know who they would give a bid to here in Las Vegas. But if Edens owns the stadium, then I'm sure that Edens would get the bid. But Foley's been hearing a lot about Wes Edens owning Aston Villa of the Premier League. So, of course, he does what billionaires do. They try to go head to head and they battle it out. And so now he is the owner of a team there in the Premier League. So I believe that that's the genesis of why this happened, to be quite frank with you.
Does that mean, though, Tony, that surely he can't dedicate 100% to all of these franchises and all these teams in different sports that he's backing. Could potentially, is he going to plant his top priority? Where does Bournemouth potentially come into that? Or do you think he could literally support all of what he's trying to do and give 100% to every single one of them? Because I just can't see how you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to hire good people and good management people and people to oversee it, but he will have to be there a bulk of the time, especially when they're building out, the stadium, the training facility, whatever they decide to do, build a new stadium. He's going to have to spend a lot of his time there. Uh, the MLS team, the price that's out there right now to own a team in Major League Soccer, for fees, expansion costs, and everything is about $1 billion, is what they're talking about here in the U.S., which is insane, right?
Wow.
But I wanted to tell you another little
Right.
highlighted story here. So Bill Foley, he thought that he had a leg up on Wes Edens. And again, I don't know. This just seems to be like billionaires playing billionaire games or something. So Foley goes out and he trademarks Las Vegas Heroes. That would be the name of his MLS team, the Heroes. Wes Edens comes back and he trademarks Las Vegas Villains. So you can't tell me that these two guys are just battling it out. It's a slugfest to see who gets the rights to an MLS franchise here. But back to your question, Bill Foley, he's got all these sports interests, but they're all in Las Vegas. It's a great question. How will he
Mm.
handle, something across the pond? How will he be able to manage the soccer team there? He's going to have some good people, and he's going to have someone who is a face of the franchise, I believe, other than himself. Yes, he could pull strings from here in Las Vegas, but he's also going to have to hire some good people, and I believe he's going to have someone who is a face of that franchise there for the Cherries, for the Cherry Knights.
Yeah. For the Cherry Knights. I was going to put something in there myself, Tony, with all these Vegas Golden Knights and these Vegas teams that he's coming up with. So yeah, we'll have to watch that space. As I said, I think that'll be a tough ask for Bill Foley to pull off something like that. A real question I do really want to ask you, Tony. So for AFC Bournemouth, we've just hired our new head coach. We sacked our current head coach, Scott Parker, earlier on in the season. Our coach, our backroom coach, Gary O'Neill, took interim charge for 12 games to basically get us to the FIFA World Cup. And he done all right. He done very well. They've just hired Gary O'Neill as permanent head coach on a 18-month deal. This is Gary O'Neill's first real management career sort of job, shall we say. This is the biggest job he's ever had. Does Bill Foley go light on Gary O'Neill and give him the chance? Or if Gary O'Neill potentially doesn't win a football match in 4 or 5 games, would you be surprised if Bill Foley runs out of patience?
I don't think so. Do we know if Bill Foley had a say in the hiring?
Sorry, say that again, Tony.
Do we know if Bill Foley had some sort of a say in the hiring of O'Neill?
We are not sure because the takeover has not been confirmed yet. So that is an interesting question that we don't have an answer to. I can only imagine, as the buying owner, that you would have some sort of a conversation. He has been given an 18-month contract, though. So I'm just wondering how Bill Foley is as an owner if this new head coach, who's very inexperienced, doesn't win enough football matches or doesn't perform well. Would Bill Foley give faith to Gary O'Neill, or would he run out of patience?
So let me just tell you about the patience of Bill Foley. He has no patience. Okay. So here in Las Vegas, this is year 6 of the franchise. We have had 3 head coaches. Gerard Gallant, he was the first coach, took them to the Stanley Cup final. Unbelievable. City was on fire. People going crazy about this hockey team. They had a little bit of a slump. They started to lose some games. And very quickly, they made a change. And they brought in Pete DeBoer. That was the next coach. And then last season, they had over 500 man games that were missed by players on this VGK team last year due to injuries. So they had definitely, no doubt, a lot of injuries, but they still were on the precipice of making the playoffs last season. And when they failed, they fired Pete DeBoer and they went after Bruce Cassidy. So they have no patience for losing. I don't believe that if O'Neill gets off to a bad start, he's going to lose his job by any means. Will he last the 18 months? That remains to be seen. But Bill Foley, again, wants to win, and he'll go out and they would spend the money for a name coach. They would go out and buy the contract for a new coach and spend that money. Pete DeBoer was making, I think, about 700 to 800,000 a year. I think Bruce Cassidy now is over $1 million plus for a season. Wow. So they'll spend the money to get it right.
Amazing. That is really interesting, Tony, and we'll definitely watch his space. Who knows if Gary O'Neill will see 18 months, but Bournemouth will try and stay in the Premier League. That's our biggest aim. Tony, it's been great to have you on. I do have one last question, I think, and that is that should we be excited about this takeover from Bill Foley? Should fans have any concerns with Bill Foley being the owner, or is it a bit of both?
It's a bit of both. I really do. I believe it's a bit of both, but primarily, I think it's good and it's positive because he'll spend the money to make the team successful. He will try his hardest to win because he wants to win at everything he does and at every level. And I really do believe that he'll invest that money and make Bournemouth a very successful soccer team. I really do. I believe that he'll do that. Now, again, it's going to come at a cost. And I think knowledge for hockey here when he arrived, but his lack of knowledge for soccer, I don't think he personally, I don't know what his level of his degree is in following soccer or executing or doing what he needs to do on the field, on the pitch. But I can tell you behind the scenes, he'll want to win. He'll put people in place that want to win. And again, they will be successful on the field. Again, it's at what cost? Ticket prices will go up, as I said. And I think he'll want to build a new stadium eventually. I think he really will. I think when it was an eye opener when he showed up there and said, wow, the training facilities are not very good. We need to change that. Stadium, we need to make some changes and update and some revisions on the stadium. And again, if he doesn't think that that's going to work, he'll build a new one because he's that type of person and he'll just keep it moving and he wants to be successful in everything he does. So I think it's more pluses than minuses, Kirk, to be quite honest with you.
Amazing. We do have a lot of fans now in the last 5, 6, 7 years and before that follow this channel. Tony, from America, we have fans from Australia. And do you think that Bill Foley will promote AFC Bournemouth in Las Vegas as well?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question? I didn't hear the end.
Do you think that Bill Foley will promote AFC Bournemouth more in Las Vegas as well? Because I know we have a lot of following now around the world in the last 5, 6, 7 years. We have a lot of fans that follow our channel from America. But do you think he'll push our badge
sure.
as well
I think
as
it's
much
appealing.
as Vegas Golden Knights?
Without a doubt. I really do believe that he would definitely talk a lot and promote Bournemouth here in the local Las Vegas market. And I think it's definitely attractive to have the team there. And I think there's fan interest. I'm starting to follow what's happening there as well. So, yes, I definitely believe he'll cross promote everything across every single property that he owns.
Tony, it's been great to talk to you. And look, hey, we might catch up again in the future. I know that I've subscribed to Locked On Golden Knights podcast. The details are in the description below. Go and check out Tony's work because, look, we're going to be linked with Vegas Golden Knights because we're going to be owned by Bill Foley. Tony, it's been an interesting conversation. I've learned so much in this 35 minutes. I am excited. I'm a little bit worried now, actually, but I am excited, I think.
Yeah, you should be. You should definitely be excited. I think it's a good change, a positive direction for the Premier League team.
Thanks, Tony. Look after yourself, and we'll catch up with you maybe in the future.
Thank you.